Hey, it's Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show. Some reaction to President Trump's joint session of Congress. You can tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time. You can follow me on Twitter, Chad Hasty Radio, and, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. All right, so some analysis, some looking at President Trump's first address to a joint session of Congress. He started it off by recognizing Black History Month and also condemning acts of violence across the country. I think this was a powerful, very powerful start by President Trump. He got off on the right foot. I think it showed not only compassion, but that he and his administration knows what's being said in the media about him, that somehow he and his administration is responsible for the uptick in violent acts. And the president came out first thing in his very first joint session of Congress and condemned those attacks. And the president saying that we have to condemn bigotry, that we have to stop this, that we cannot have this, that if we are to have a great nation moving forward, we must improve upon what is going on. And so I thought it was a very powerful moment. Very powerful moment. Here's what the president had to say, reading from the prepared text here. Tonight, as we mark the conclusion of our celebration of Black History Month, we are reminded of our nation's path towards civil rights and the work that still remains. Recent threats targeting Jewish community centers and vandalism of Jewish cemeteries, as well as last week's shooting in Kansas City, remind us that while we may be a nation divided on policies, we are a country that stands united in condemning hate and evil in all its forms. Ladies and gentlemen, that's powerful. And for a president who has been accused of having his administration push hate, violence, bigotry in his first address, which, by the way, I've never bought into, for the president's first address and the first paragraph in his first address to a joint session of Congress, he addresses it and he says, hey, we've got to stop this. That's powerful. And Democrats, of course, they didn't want to clap for him on that one. And Democrats, I think, especially those who make their living off of outrage, they were probably a little bit pissed off about that line. Here are a few things that I noticed. Democrats did not clap for putting Americans first. When Donald Trump spoke about putting Americans first, putting American workers first, Democrats did not stand and clap for that. The Democrats also did not stand and clap for protecting Americans from the terrorist threat when President Trump was talking about needing that travel ban and making sure that the people who are in this country and coming into this country are fully vetted. The Democrats did not stand after the line about protecting Americans from terrorists. Also, there were a few Democrats who did not stand when it came to protecting police officers or standing by police officers. The president talked about a merit-based immigration system. This is something that garnered a lot of news, immigration, because there was some news that leaked out prior to President Trump's speech that he may roll out a form of legalization for those who are in the country illegally but who have not committed any other crimes other than being in the country illegally, and that the Dreamers would also be on a pathway towards legalization. Trump did not include that in his speech. Now, that doesn't mean it won't be rolled out into the future, but it does mean that it wasn't involved in this speech. Instead, what the president rolled out was America moving to a merit-based immigration system, which Canada and Australia, two examples that the president used. And you know what? There are a lot of people who like that idea. Now, you will have pushback from Democrats who say, hey, that's not what we're all about. We never had that before. We accept everybody. What the president is trying to say is, listen, if we bring in everybody, even those who cannot make it for themselves, those who are going to come into this country and absolutely depend on a handout, it hurts Americans who need those handouts, Americans who are needing those handouts. It hurts them more than it hurts anybody else. I don't know if we'll ever move towards that merit-based immigration system, but I guarantee you it'll be a discussion point moving forward, and it may be a discussion point when it comes to a compromise on immigration. Now, here are my thoughts just real quickly on immigration overall, and this whole story that came out that the president may be in favor of a pathway towards legalization, different than citizenship. I think the president has to show that a wall is going to get built and that the border is going to be secured before the American public goes for, at least Republicans, go for legalization. Remember, legalization just one step away from citizenship. So there's going to be a fight, I think, from some folks on the right on this. But if the president can show that the border is being secured, I think he's going to have an easier sell when it comes to legalization. By the way, I thought this exact same thing for Marco Rubio. When Marco Rubio was absolutely crucified by some on the right for dipping his toe into immigration and being part of the Gang of Eight, and then going, "Hey guys, we've got to secure the border first. We've got to show the American people that the border is secure before we do anything else." Marco Rubio was crucified for it. No matter who the Republican president would have been. My feeling is you've got to secure the border first, show the American people you're serious about it. Because remember, when Ronald Reagan went through the entire deal of saying, okay, we're going to legalize these folks, we're going to have amnesty, and then we'll get the border secured later, the border was never secured. So, there are going to be a lot of Republicans who push back on that. By far, one of the most powerful, moments of the night was when the president recognized Navy SEAL William Ryan Owens, who died in combat in Yemen. You remember that raid in Yemen that happened. The president recognized not only Owens, but of course Owens' wife. If you saw the speech, you know it was a powerful moment, as it was the longest standing ovation. She had tears in her eyes. Listen, to some of you jaded Democrats out there, this was not Trump taking advantage. This is a woman who wanted to honor her husband and allowed the president of the United States to honor a true hero, someone who defended this country, who laid down their life for this country. It was a powerful, very powerful moment in Congress tonight when the president did that. Couple of lines here that I thought were great from the president. President said, quote, "My job is not to represent the world. My job is to represent the United States of America." Love that. We've gone from a President Obama, who was president of the world, he thought, to Trump, who knows that he's president of the United States. And then finally, the time for small thinking is over. The time for trivial fights is behind us. Another great line from President Trump. Overall, listen, folks, this was a great speech by President Trump. I don't forget about on the scale of, was it the greatest speech ever in Congress or not? I don't give a damn about that. It was a great speech from President Trump that I don't think many people expected to hear out of President Trump. It was great. It was wonderful. He did a great job. He did what he needed to do. And I think it was a unifying speech as well. What will the Democrats say about it? What will the news media say about it? Well, who the hell knows? Join me on the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time, as I'll have more analysis on this and take your feedback as well. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments section. Subscribe to our videos, and then also follow me on Twitter, Chad Hasty Radio. Have a great day.